All right, as we all know, the pandemic has posed some unprecedented challenges for relationships, some unfortunately ending in divorce.
Our next guest is an expert in rebuilding after a split. Joining us is author and certified divorce coach, Andrea Hips. Good morning. Thank you, Andrea, for being here.
Good morning to both of you. Nice to be here. Thank you.
So let's talk about the steps you have. You have very specific steps to help former partners recover after a split. And the first is really not looking back anymore. You got to move on.
That's right. You have to start with an imagination of a better future. And so you really need to picture what it is that you want this relationship with them to look like. And we often don't do that because we don't think it can be different. And if it could be different, we're often just picturing our former partner dramatically changing. But the truth is, you can really shift the tone of your relationship with your former partner all on your own. And you start by just consciously imagining how you want to look, act, feel, and think on the topic of your former partner, which puts you not only in the place of being able to imagine that future, but also gives you a real read on the work that you need to do in order to make that a reality.
So, Andrea, I'm going to go a little off script right here, but let's say you're in a relationship, right? And you break up and you're upset about it, but you have a little bit of resentment like you were talking about. So you want to go on social media, you want to show off that breakup body. You've been in the gym, you've been working out, maybe your friends invite you on a yacht to Miami and you're with some cool looking guys and you want to boast about it on social media. Is that a good idea to say, hey, this is what you've lost and this is what you're missing out on? Or as you talked about, moving forward, let that go. Don't be so petty.
Yeah, I think there's a part of life after divorce where you want to feel like you won. And divorce has a way of making us feel like we lost, especially if you were the recipient of an unwanted divorce. So where I get the impulse to really want to jump in and prove that you've landed and you're doing well and sort of, as you said, look at what you've lost, I think there's more to be said for look at who I'm becoming and really having the audience be your own self.
Now, oftentimes, though, it's not just you and your former partner. You've got kids involved, and the co-parenting really changes everything. So when that's the thing, what do you recommend for that? Because you really have to, as you say, accept one thing. What is that?
You need to drop the contempt. And contempt is just really the lack of respect that circulates around divorce. And contempt is really what gets us into divorce. And in a long way after divorce, it's what keeps us spiraling on the negative. And so shifting into gratitude is key here. And not really the gratitudes that are sort of weak and thin, but really spending more time thinking about what worked, what still works, what you appreciate and what you're grateful for. It goes a long way for just shutting down the negative talk and really starting to create an atmosphere for a new relationship that is based on strengths and not on critique.
And then that will help you co-parent. How will that help you co-parent? What else do you need to do?
You need to accept the limitations of your former partner. You know, they did the best they could, even if their best was really not that impressive to you. And so, you know, and if you're still co-parenting together, they're still doing their best. So how can we really let go of the pieces of what was and start to look at what is? We waste an enormous amount of time thinking about how we want our former partner to change. And frankly, they're likely not to change. And if they do, it's probably not going to be because of something that you said at this point. So offer grace for their limits and move on.
As the saying goes, as one door closes, another one opens, right? Is there a silver lining to ending a relationship?
You know, I really encourage my clients to celebrate the wisdom that they've gained. I have a favorite phrase from when I went through my own divorce about a decade ago, which was leave the ashes, take the fire. And in any relationship, we learn a tremendous amount. And when we can really categorize that, notice that, and celebrate that, even in our deteriorated relationships, we have a better experience of moving on. So get specific on what it is that you got from this relationship and what it contributed to your growth, and start to celebrate the person that you became as a result of the struggle.
I think that's really great advice. And I noticed that you say former partner instead of ex. Is that... that's by design, right? That's what you...
I'm actually really impressed that you noticed that. It is. I really don't like the word X because it defines someone based on what they aren't anymore
Hmm.
instead of what they are, which is it's not, we want to move out of what you're not and what you are, which is again moving out of focusing on our former partner's failures
Hmm.
and starting to focus on what their assets are, because all you have going forward is assets.
Hmm.
Don't keep putting more wounds into the relationship. Start with what you can work with.
Great advice. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
The book
I
that she
appreciate being
has
here.
is,
Thank you.
thank you. The book is The Best Worst Time of Your Life: 4 Practices to Get You Through the Pain of Divorce. For more from Andrea, you can visit AndreaHippsDivorceCoach.com. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Feels good to